Go.
Morning, everybody. My name is Wani. I'm Dana Yetiko. So we're going to talk about relations, resilience, and so democracy's origin in Indonesia. Indonesia became a democratic state in 1945 upon gaining independence. It remained democratic until 1957 when it became an authoritarian state. So, parliamentary democracy was first practiced in Indonesia and it was practiced in the 1950s and was weakened by frequent changes of cabinet and political instability. In 1959, President Sukarno introduced guided democracy where power was more centralized and there was more authoritarianism, limiting democratic freedoms.
After Sukarno, President Sukarno took over and ruled Indonesia for over 30 years. The new order elections were held, but they were tightly controlled and lack of genuine constitutional issues. Like the elections were not direct, they were basically not, they were rigged somehow, they were not true. Civil liberties and media freedom were also seriously restricted. They restricted media freedom and civil liberties. Then after Asian final crisis in 1997, which caused economic collapse, the mass public transition protest known as the movement forced Sukarno to resign. So because of the crisis in 1997, it forced the president to actually resign from his presidency. Since then, there have been major democratic reforms like constitutional amendments and human rights protection. So after he resigned, there was like a lot of constitutional amendments and human rights protections going on, being more stable than gone for democracy.
Indonesia practices a presidential democracy with a multi-party system. So what that means is that, for example, if there wants to be an election, there are going to be many political parties to run for the election and to be voted into power. This democracy is guided by the national ideology, which emphasizes unity, social justice, and collective decision making. Creating a democracy which blends liberal democratic principles with Indonesia's tradition. As you can see, Indonesia practices a lot of culture which makes up for which basically say money in the government and the democracy. So power has been transferred peacefully between leaders after election, which is the key indicator of democratic stability, which means that they organize peaceful elections to put trusted people who have been voted for into power. Voter participation has also remained relatively high, showcasing public engagement in the political process. Despite its challenges, Indonesia is often regarded as one of the most successful democracies in Southeast Asia. So, as you can see from that, they have peaceful political apartheid in their society, and their citizens are involved, which makes them successful nation.
So the tools used for democracy survival in Indonesia, the General Elections Commission (KPU) organizes elections independently, making the elections free and fair. The Constitutional Court also plays a major role as it defends and acts like as a mediator during electoral crises and alleged rigging of elections. The press also allows for public scrutiny of the government.
Its weaknesses. Although Indonesia has made significant progress, its democracy faces serious weaknesses like corruption is widespread among people, in particular, which reduces the trust in public. Like for instance, now how the election is not always fair. That's like due to corruption. Like people, it's just like people paying other people to make the election and other things, making it like who have voted. So the votes will technically not count anymore. The political parties also have their commitments centered on the interests of the ideologies. So political parties, like, instead of their commitment to be centered to people's ideology, it's centered to like the elites, like their own ideology, not the majority ideology.
Propose solutions to democratic problems. Some solutions suggested for the survival of democracy are strengthening and protecting anti-corruption institutions, enforcing stricter laws against youth, and improving civic and political education, reforming political party funding, protecting freedom of speech and media independence, encouraging women and youth participation in politics, strengthening rule of law and judicial independence, promoting inclusive and issue-based politics. So these are basically ways to reduce the democratic problems in Indonesia, and most of them are trying to curb corruption in the society and promote good election. Rule of law. Any questions?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say that was a wonderful presentation from you guys. You actually took us through the evolution of democracy in Indonesia, which is quite very, very encouraging and